You know that feeling of magic when your phone unlocks just by looking at you? Or when a streaming service recommends a movie that's, well, perfect. That's not magic. It's deep learning. And today we're going to pull back the curtain on this incredible and honestly often misunderstood technology that's already changing everything. So let's get into it.
I want to start with a number, a really, really big one. $3.5 trillion. Just try to wrap your head around that for a second. What on earth could cost that much year after year?
The answer? Fraud. We're talking about a global problem on a massive scale that hits businesses, banks, and, let's be honest, all of us in the wallet. And for the longest time, we've been trying to fight it with one hand tied behind our back.
And this right here shows you why. Let's take a big bank like Danske Bank. Their old way of doing things was based on simple rules. The problem? It was like trying to catch sharks with a fishing net full of holes. They were only catching about 40% of the actual fraud, and worse, they were generating up to 1,200 false alarms every single day. You know, when your card gets declined for no good reason, that's a false alarm. It's clunky, it's annoying, and it's expensive. But the new way with AI, well, it's a total game changer.
So how in the world does this new AI work its magic? Well, the coolest way to think about it is to compare it to the most amazing learning machine ever created, our own brain.
At the very core of this tech is something called an artificial neural network. And honestly, the name says it all. It is literally a system designed to work kind of like the web of neurons firing away inside our skulls.
Okay, so let's zoom way in, down to just one of these artificial neurons. Think of it as a tiny little gatekeeper. It gets a bunch of information, or inputs. Then its job is to decide how important each piece of info is. It gives each one a weight. After looking at all the evidence, it makes a simple decision and sends one single signal onto the next neuron in the line. Seems simple, right? But the magic happens when you get millions or even billions of these working together.
But here's the thing. A single, simple layer of these neurons just isn't going to cut it when you're dealing with a multi-trillion-dollar problem like fraud. To solve something that complex, we have to build on this idea. We need to go deeper.
And this right here is the real revolution. This is the secret sauce. It's the huge conceptual leap that separates the old way of doing machine learning from the incredible power of deep learning. It's that big aha moment.
So get this. In classic machine learning, a person, a really smart data scientist, had to sit down and basically tell the computer what to look for. They'd have to say, hey, for fraud, pay attention to the transaction amount, where it happened, the time of day. They had to handcraft every single important feature. But with deep learning, you just dump in all the raw data. The network, with all its different layers, figures out for itself what's important. It discovers these incredibly subtle patterns that a human would probably never ever spot. It literally teaches itself what to look for.
Which, of course, leads to a really interesting and maybe a little unsettling question. If it's teaching itself what to do, how do we actually know what's going on in there?
This is what people in the field call the black box problem. The AI model can get so good, so complicated, that how it gets to the right answer is a total mystery, sometimes even to the people who built it. It's like a brilliant math student who aces every single test but refuses to show their work. This is one of the biggest challenges in the entire world of AI right now.
So, to try and peek inside that black box, let's switch gears a little bit. We'll move away from an abstract idea like financial data to something we can all actually visualize: teaching a computer how to see. We can do this with a special kind of network called a convolutional neural network, or CNN for short. These things are the powerhouse behind pretty much all modern image recognition, and they give us a fantastic window into how an AI actually learns.
The whole process is actually kind of beautiful. First, you have to realize the AI doesn't see a picture. It just sees a giant grid of numbers. Then, the first layer of the network acts like a detective with a magnifying glass. It scans that whole grid with a little filter that's looking for one super simple thing, like, say, a horizontal line. It then makes a new map that just highlights where all the horizontal lines are. Then the next layer might do the same thing, but for vertical lines, and another one for curves. By stacking hundreds of these simple detectors on top of each other, the network builds a visual vocabulary. It goes from seeing lines, to seeing shapes, to seeing textures, and finally, to seeing a complex object, like a cat, or a car, or even a face. It learns how to see from the ground up.
All right, so now that we've taken a quick peek inside that black box, let's bring this all the way back around. Let's connect the dots from the solution back to the problem we started with and see just where this technology is headed.
Remember Danske Bank? Well, when they switched to these deep learning models, the results were absolutely staggering. They slashed those annoying false positives by 60%, and at the same time, they started catching 50% more of the real actual fraud. This isn't just theory. This is the real-world power of an AI that can spot patterns no human ever could. And this is the final crucial leap. That incredible ability to find hidden, complex patterns isn't just for numbers in a spreadsheet. You can point that same power at the pixels in a picture. The very same technology can be trained to identify the most complex, most unique pattern in the known universe, the human face. And with that kind of power comes some profound questions we have to deal with as a society. As one report puts it, this technology is being rolled out on an unbelievable scale. In China, for example, a project known as Sharp Eyes is working to build a nationwide surveillance network, using AI to scan millions of camera feeds to identify people in real time. And that really is what it all boils down to. Deep learning isn't science fiction anymore. It is here. It's solving huge problems, and it's creating huge challenges. As this tech gets woven deeper and deeper into our lives, the most important question we all need to ask is shifting from what can it do to what should it do.